Mipam Gyatso did write a commentary, as I could tell from Sopa's not giving in to my comments, previous comments, did write a commentary on Jang-kya's song, and he also wrote, at the request of others, his own text that has a flavor of the poetic techniques of Jang-kya's text, based on his experience of the great completeness. That by no means, that in no way at all, is a commentary on Jang-kya's text. So I was wrong and right at the same time. Wrong in that Brunholz is, I hope I have the pronunciation right, translation is indeed of Mipam's commentary on Jang-kya's text, which, as Brunholz says, is a rare instance of a Nyingma writing a commentary on a Gelugpa text. And in fact, I would add, a rather partisan, as we will see, partisan meaning holding a Gelugpa point of view, not some sort of rapid partisan, but indeed holding a Gelugpa point of view. And then right in that the text I happened to download is Mipam's own expression of his experience of the great completeness, fashioned in the manner of Jang-kya's famous song. And when I went in to find Mipam's text today, spent a little time diverted after I prepared for our meeting, I came up with a Gelugpa text, which is a commentary on, and in a sense a commentary. Yeah, it's a commentary on Jang-kya's text, written from the point of view of highest yoga tantra, which I didn't know existed. So I think I have to mine what other texts there are, just to see if there are corrections, any corrections to the way I have translated Jang-kya's text. However, I do have Jang-kya's own students, his own number one student's opinion on the meaning of the text, but there are some words that he does not comment on. And I don't want to make too much of a fool. Well, I don't mind making a fool out of myself, as I think you know. I don't want to mistake the meaning. And popularize wrong meanings when correct meanings are available. And the various translations that are out there contain, much as I have guessed in a few places, what the meaning is. Yes, please.
Who wrote the commentary according to the view of the highest yoga tantra?
I downloaded the text, but then when I went to look at the easy place for finding who wrote it, I had lost track and then didn't want to spend any more time finding out. I will find out. And when I looked in the colophon, it was going to take too much time to find out, and I didn't want to spend the time.
If there's a good commentary to it, let us know, okay?
Excuse me?
If there's an English commentary.
Oh, no, there won't be. I think Lopez, since he translated the whole of Jang-kya's presentation of tenets, you know about that, and published it.
Yeah.
I'm just off him, speaking too quickly. He wouldn't know everything, of course, but he's the one who alerted me to the Mipam commentary, and I'm just thinking he would tend, in that translation by Brunholz, he would tend to know, that's all I mean. Though in general phenomena indeed exist, there's a little helpful word in between. For the perspective of a who, a person who, I left out the word person. For the perspective of a who, of a person who has completed the analysis of the view. We touched on this a bit, right? The appearances to us now as if able to set themselves up. Do things if you were asked, are things able to set themselves up, or do they have causes? You'd say, no, they have causes and conditions. But if we're able to sort of look from a corner and see how things appear, do they appear as if able to set themselves up? Another way I translate that is self-instituting, set themselves up. And interesting, uneven. They're all, in one way, that's very pleasant. You look at a tree, there's a whole bunch of trees. I like looking at trees in the winter. I'm, Van Gogh. It's like somebody trying to pronounce his name as you really should pronounce it. So you make a big fuss out of, say, Van Gogh, Van Gogh. I was working too hard this morning. And one of my times is winter, when the trees really are reaching up for light, and they're feeding off of the light. And actually, you go out and find they bud out. They're budded out very early. and they're reaching up, and against the sky, they're just fantastic. You know, and I'm saying fantastic, you see. But he's saying uneven like the antlers of an elk. And also you might think, wow, an elk, and look at those antlers. And he's finding fault. Antlers are sticking up, just, you know, and they're not even, and so forth. So there's something about when you see phenomena as the appearances of, we could call it the underlying emptiness, but you see it's not underlying, because these are the sport of emptiness. These are the, you know, and emptiness is not underlying them. They're the sport itself of emptiness. So there's a harmonious something within, around, and surrounding, and so forth, of all phenomena. Underlying in one way, yes, but that makes them even in terms of your experience. Once you're within it, the things are not uneven, but also in experiencing the diversity within this evenness. You know, it's not like diversity disappears, but there's something even. Things are not ragged. Composites of contradictions. You know, what's suddenly appearing to my mind because of, you know, I watched some television, as you may have gathered, the horrible sufferings of people chasing after huge airplanes and so forth. These contradictions, and even the contradictions of a president who is so empathetic and yet mouths no, and he's so skilled at mouthing, and I don't mean mouthing in a bad way, empathy, and yet gives a speech that contains no mention of empathy. And if you think about how he could have mouthed, spoken empathy, that would have been quite a speechwriter who could have done that without being criticized for wearing his, what do they call it, heart on his sleeve. But he would have been, he is the ideal person to have done that. How he was moved, how he is moved, seeing this. And didn't. As if, well, whatever. So there's contradictions, composites of contradictions, and yet, and so the Buddha, and for instance in the highest Yoga Tantra, and the vision one gets within highest Yoga Tantra of, you know, everything being the sport of bliss, the sport of emptiness, but this not in the least canceling compassion, but of even enhancing compassion. It's really if you want to, well, not if you want to say, if it's mysterious, you know, from an outsider's point of view, who, it's incomprehensible that one would see everything as a manifestation of bliss, even. And can one say and yet? But it's not even and yet, and simultaneously be moved to compassion. If from one who's not in it, it seems incomprehensible, totally contradictory, as uneven, like the most uneven of the uneven. Not the most uneven. This, you think of the hells. The two emptiness do not appear as the measure of being, as how things are. Rather, Pama, the two emptiness independent arising, are, the word are should be there, are intimately bound. The one impossible to desert the other. It's the obstructions that we have such that we cannot see things this way, or that if we saw them, partly it would cancel the other. When we're moved, we cannot see it the other way. When we see it the other way, when we see emptiness, we cannot be moved. We're in a state of nihilism, inseparably at ease. Hence, these two, inseparably at ease, thereby appearing, and I'm adding, as being soft. The words are jam. And I take the meaning right from the, what is it? Jang-kya-trang-de-gom. 7? Jang-kya-trang-de-gom. 7. 7 types of Rekja, right? Objects of touch. And Jam is the opposite of Jam, soft, is the opposite of rough. And I take it here as coming right out of that list, and thus soft. Soft. Jam, gi. I'd like some sort of short word. At least not comfortable. But still, comfortable is not bad either, Comfy. That wouldn't be bad. That's pretty good. Yeah. Comfy. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, I better put that in there. We'll see if I'll just put it comfy. I'll put comfy. We'll just see how it goes. Comfy. Lopez said he really liked he said, I really love Mama. instead of mother. So then, if we skip down to the meaning of the next, some people have made these into stanzas, but it's clearly not stanzas. You know, if you've got stanzas of 4 lines, when you've got 7 lines, but turning it into the convention of another culture, it would be fine to make these 7 into 8 lines and split them into 2 groups of 4. Why not? Really, I'm not criticizing it or making fun of it. I'm not. But I chose to keep it as 7. The proponents of the Great Exposition assert that 3 times is substantially existent. Well, you can read about these in books of tenets. After translating a section on Bhava Viveka of really slaving over stanzas, 4-line stanzas from Bhava Viveka, I turned to Lopez's translation, which indeed was from his work at Virginia in his thesis. But I didn't remember that these were in there in such detail. But it was good for me to have done it in my style nowadays of being so bloody literal. And then to look at his Jang-kya's tenets is really fantastic, and Lopez did a fantastic job, both in his thesis, which he did on the Swatantrika school, and in his book, really terrific. The proponents of Sūtra assert both external objects and self-cognizing consciousnesses as true. Is there anything I want to say? I don't think so. I mean, I did prepare it. The 3 Eastern Proficients. I used to think that it only meant the 3 Proficients who I included later, illuminate Swatantra, who illuminate the autonomy school. Because the word shar means east, and it also means illuminate, who make dawn, who make, who dawn it, D-A-W-N. And but clearly one of the meanings, these 3 apparently were born, which I didn't know originally, were born in eastern India, which probably would be Bengal, but born in eastern India, Gyanagarbha, Chandrakshita, and Kamalashila. These are besides Bhava Viveka, and I guess he wasn't born in East India. Okay. The proponents of the Great Exposition assert. Now, there's only one assert, and I made this sentence too difficult to read by not just repeating the word assert twice. Assert that all phenomena are not truly established. Assert that I guess you'd have to say assert that. Yes, you'd have to repeat that twice. Is that going to make it unreadable? Assert that all phenomena are not truly established inherently. In other words, you've got to say that phenomena are truly established inherently. So they assert that all phenomena are not truly established inherently is not logically feasible. Why? Because truly established effective things do exist. Why? Because external objects or matter. Now, are external objects necessarily matter? Yeah, not. Not. Now, this is something that Jang-kya picked up from Kön-chog-jig-me, believe it or not. Kön-chog-jig-me makes this statement. And Giant Sheba and his followers deal with this and attempt, while they deal with it and say it's wrong. External objects are not necessarily matter. I mean, for instance, if I think about your consciousness, that's an external object. I'm not thinking of it as matter. And even if I think about my own consciousness, so we're not just, this is a gross example, but, and if I think about uncompounded space, if I take uncompounded space to mind, I think about it. You know? So, but Kön-chog-jig-me makes that statement. And even His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, made this statement. He said that external objects are necessarily material. And, well, once you read Giant Sheba and find out that Kön-chog-jig-me makes this statement, and how Giant Sheba attempts to reread Kön-chog-jig-me such that he doesn't say it. I forced myself to read those 5 pages, I think it is, this morning, and at the end of it I was like, you know, you really have to get into it to appreciate the subtleties of what Giant Sheba and his followers are saying. And Giant Sheba's predecessor accepts what Kön-chog-jig-me says on the surface. Giant Sheba takes issue with him and makes all sorts of distinctions, which, as I say, those distinctions look good, then they don't look so good.
Jeffrey, may I just ask for clarification here? Would you be saying, or would this view be saying that the Chiro Dun and the Zumwa are synonymous? Like the polar and the Zumzin, the Zumwa and the Chiro Dun?
Yeah.
You're saying they're the same.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying they are. Well, yeah.
You know,
in general, they are. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And then Kön-chog-jig-me piles on to that the external object, the apprehended, is material. And you can't read him but to say that that's his opinion. It's really weird that he says that. That's my opinion. That I don't follow Giant Sheba on this. his attempt to explain it away. I mean, you show your prowess by saying the equivalent of, yeah, this looks really stupid, but there's a way to explain it away. And you show your prowess by showing off that you can explain it away. But in the end, I don't accept his attempt to explain it away myself. Which is to say that I don't accept Kön-chog-jig-me-wang-po's opinion. Okay. I don't mind. But if you wanted me to debate it, and I was up on it, if you wanted me to debate it today, I couldn't. I'm not up on it. I couldn't remember the points as I went through them. And maybe I'm too old by now. Say Gucci Gucci. Which means the equivalent of please, please. There's no time. Better than Gucci Gucci. So Jang-kya takes a swipe at this assertion. And it says this assertion is like a fierce striped Bengali tiger. Now where he comes up with this, I think, my opinion at this point is, because I haven't seen anybody try to explain this, this tiger is smiling, you see. It's going to eat you. If you take on this assertion, you're going to be wiped out. And what's your problem? You can't accept the absence of inherent existence. They fail to accept the absence of inherent existence. That's the problem with all of these schools. That's your problem. Now, when you think about it, that's a big problem. And when you get down to it, we've got this problem. We're put in the position of having been eaten by the smiling tiger. We've been put in the position of all of these lousy examples. Not lousy examples, these great examples. We've been we've been eaten by the smiling tiger. The proponents of mind only, I really love the mind only school, say that although the partless do not occur, there's no such thing as anything partless. Because the so-called partless, there's always parts, at least mentally. Because self-cognizing consciousness, as Jose Antonio was saying, the aspect of the apprehender, is truly established. At least that is. Jang-kya calls this assertion a brainless, crazy, lightheaded monkey. So Hopkins is a brainless, crazy, lightheaded monkey. Carried away. But that doesn't mean, I remember one of my friends said, well, you can't deny, we were sitting outside the monastery in New Jersey, you can't deny this earth. It means the external object, the earth. That means he was taking the earth to exist as it appears, hard, completely distinct from the subject realizing it, you know? He was taking it to exist the way it appears. No comprehension of an inherent existence at all. What an idiot. I didn't say a thing. I didn't respond. You know, who wants to get tangled with a brainless, crazy, lightheaded monkey? If somebody's that bad off, leave them alone. I didn't nod my head. I just kept to myself. According to the three Eastern Proficients, this is Kimbo. Why is somebody called Khan? Khan, you see, Khan, Genghis Khan, you know, this big word Khan. That's Kimbo. That's Kimbo. Khan. It's, you know, they picked up the word Khan, Kimbo. Mao Kana Khan in Tibetan. It's Khan. You know, Ken is Khan if you didn't do the vowel changes that Tibetans do. It's Khan or Makan if you pronounce the unpronounced prefix. So it's Khan, Genghis Khan and all the Khans. And what is a Khan? And in non-Gelugpa sects, if you become like a professor, you're called Kembo. Kembo. In Gelugpa, if you become, well, in English, abbot, you're called Kembo. And you're a proficient, you're a maker, doer, boss, you know? You know how to do things. And you know, you have a boss who has, you know, I don't want, please don't in any way misinterpret it. Somebody who not only knows how to do things, but has magnificent ideas. You'll all agree. How many buildings has she, in her mind, designed? These are, you know, who else would you have as Kimball? Who else do you know would, in her mind, think, oh, we should have a building up there? And then she tells you how to organize it and who you should ask for funds. And, you know, that's the kind of person you want for Kimball. This is a doer, knows how to do things, knows how to lead, and etc. So Genghis Khan, you know. So people are afraid of Genghis Khan, but you understand somebody who can lead the troops. That doesn't have a pejorative meaning. I think what His Holiness takes as an example, who was it? Losang Chökyi Gyaltsen, who was, you know, he tells a story about, you know, here's somebody who could lecture and so forth, but also tell people how to go out and raise money and do this and that and so forth. Wasn't it his tutor? I forget. I don't remember stories. Maybe I don't remember other things too. I should remember stories. Since apprehendeds and apprehenders do not exist dualistically, I'm so pleased with my using these words, apprehended and apprehenders, rather than object and subject. There are other words for object and subject. You know, really, I think brings them alive. I hope you think that too. Don't just think they get in the way. You know, apprehendeds and apprehenders. Do not exist dualistically. External objects and true establishments do not exist. Wow, in true establishment. Yeah, right. But established by way of its own character or self-instituting establishment. Wow. You know, are they going to say, established by way of its own character, they use. But self-instituting establishment, do they use this vocabulary? Or is this laid on from a prasangic, from a consequentialist point of view? Self-instituting, Rang Zuktuba, Tibetan. I don't know if that's in any Indian text. Does exist, because all phenomena are established from the side of the object's own uncommon mode of abiding. As Tsongkhapa says, it's very difficult in terms of how they use vocabulary to figure out this division of vocabulary, of division of how they accept what's refuted and what remains in conventional terms or conventionally. But if you look into their assertions, you can figure it out. He's figured it out. Jang-kya is no, what is it here? A powerful bear. You know, living both in Virginia in the country and here by the park, bear sightings, and in Virginia, my neighbors follow bear sightings, and because one way they're amusing and another way they're frightful. So the problem is they're accepting establishment by way of its own character. And when you look into it, Tsongkhapa is the key on this, you see, and such that we even can call it self-instituting establishment. Their problem is they're being eaten by a powerful bear. Because, you know, one of these huge bears, they get on you and they'll eat you up. They're eating it. And their problem is they can't understand the emptiness of inherent existence. So you see, that's why I say he's a partisan Gelugpa. Partisan follower of Tsongkhapa, which means that they have discarded, this next paragraph here, the aged mama. They've thrown away their own mama in her old age. Kicked her out. Through the force of not identifying the inherent, I mean, that's how clear it is. The inherent existence of things. Now, thing here is not just affective things, but all phenomena. They haven't identified the inherent existence of each and every phenomena, including uncompounded space even, as the object of negation. And that tangles them up, all of them. Poor people like us. We haven't identified the root of our trouble. So, the aged mama, emptiness. I shouted. One word I particularly shouted. Mama! Mom! We couldn't stand to have her around. Couldn't stand to have emptiness around. So if you're going to have emptiness around, you got to be able to accept the absence of inherent existence. What a job we have. We have to take on. So in the next section, he takes on Sagya Nyingma Karmakagyo Trupakagyo and he like says, you got these problems. And the reason why you got these problems and you go off on these tangents is that you can't stand emptiness. The absence of existence. And so we'll start with the meaning. I'll repeat what I said last time. It was so interesting to hear His Holiness last November, December, when he got to, he was being very partisan, Gelupa, and going through like this to everybody but Tsongkhapa. You see, it was a celebration of Tsongkhapa. So he was being partisan. And he was going through everybody. It was like, nothing. And, yeah, okay. And, if you're going to celebrate Tsongkhapa, that's what you better do. And then there are other times, like when he came to Virginia, and he brought in all sorts of Gelupa teachers, and he said, you've got to understand how all these sects come down to one thought. Gongba Chikdu Paba. It comes down to one thought. The fundamental innate mind of clear light is expressed in many different ways. And I'm not just going to say that, I'm going to show you how. It would be very diplomatic. Now I'm filling this in, of me just to say it comes down to one thought. I'm going to show you how in each one of these systems they really do come down to the same point. And I don't have to read it into it. I can say in their own terms how they eliminate inherent existence and come down to the same, and not in some indirect way come down to it, the same thought, but directly come down to the same point. So that's what's in the last chapter. I'm selling a book now. Come down to, in the last, that teaching, that's what's in the last chapter of Kindness, Clarity, and Insight. And you can sell it to all of you. Of course I'm joking. To all of your students, because it takes lectures that he gave in North America. North America includes Mexico, but these don't include teachings in Mexico. It's the states and in Canada that are arranged. I'm the arranger. That begin with the easier and go to the most difficult in the last chapter. That's enough to say. Mixed with some humor. Easygoing guy.
Comfy, comfy.
Yes, comfy, comfy. Soft, soft, comfy, comfy. Next time, next week, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.